Let me start where the president left off. Do you believe that he did nothing wrong?
Well, let's back up. When you back up out of all the process and all the tit for tat between the House and the Senate and the process that the Republicans complained about, what the Democrats did in the Intel Committee and the Judiciary Committee, when you back out of all that, this relies on one fundamental question. Can the president ask about an inherently corrupt, on its face, conflict of interest between Biden and Burisma? Is it okay for him to ask about that? Because that's what happened. And I would say yes. Why isn't it okay? And nobody's actually answered that question.
Well,
really,
so
honestly.
let me take you at face value there. Let's say we accept your argument. The issue is then millions of dollars in aid that the United States Congress has said needs to go, that gets held up in a quid pro quo. That's the heart of the issue.
You haven't proven a quid pro quo. That's also at heart of the issue.
So you are simply not convinced that the president did anything improper in the course of this?
How could I be convinced when I didn't see any evidence? Right? I mean, really, like, how can you be convinced of that? There was a lot of issues at play. And a lot of the people who came and testified, what they said was, we presumed there was something going on here, right? We presumed, but nobody actually provided any evidence. So how are you going to impeach based upon that weak case? It's a thin case, and we're making a very drastic decision based on that case. So
you don't believe anything that you heard from these witnesses, these career civil servants?
They have to show me something.
Who came and said, this is how this played out.
Wouldn't you think that the implementers of foreign policy, because these are the civil servants who are supposed to implement the policy, so wouldn't you think that they'd have, I don't know, something in writing? Like an actual statement that says, if they don't do this, we're not going to give them this. Wouldn't you think that they'd be able to provide that?
Perhaps, but that's often not how these...
Not perhaps. Having worked in federal government for 10 years in the military, that is exactly how it works. And so to not be able to provide any really hard evidence, I think, is concerning. And when we're looking at how this is played out with respect to sending the articles of impeachment to the Senate, Pelosi has basically said she wants more witnesses, she wants more documents for the Senate's trial. So the implication there is that she didn't have enough in the first place, that she wants to make the case stronger. Well, so why did she vote on it?
So let's take John Bolton as an example, who refused to testify before the House of Representatives, has now said if the Senate subpoenas him, he'll come and tell what he knows. And they have insinuated very strongly that he knows something and has something to add. Do you want to hear what he has to say?
I'm not afraid of him, but also I'm not afraid of what he has to say. But it also begs the question, why didn't we subpoena him in the House? There was no deadline here for impeachment, right? We could have actually gone through this. We could have gone through the subpoenas. We could have had him come and testify to the House. When you've already voted on it, the implication is that you have enough evidence. So you're saying that they should have waited for the courts to rule on Bolton before they ever voted on impeachment?
Fair enough. However, that's not how it's played out. Now Bolton is saying if we subpoena him in the Senate, you as an American and member of the esteemed House of Representatives.
I'm not afraid of what he has to say.
So why is the White House afraid of it?
I don't know that they are, okay? Now, I think they're talking about executive privilege and things like that, but even with McConnell's, the process that he wants to play out, the Senate can still vote and have people come and testify. So, you know, there's the devil's in the details there. There's some implication that that's not what's happening, but it is. You can still vote to have witnesses come and testify.